following program on Ada Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations.
A very good evening. You are joining us on yet another episode of Special Presentation, and today's topic is something that is vital and essential for Sri Lanka as a nation and also the rest of the world, but specifically for our context considering the economic situation we're in at the moment right now, and that's on tourism, specifically on the recent developments in the tourism industry and what we see when it comes to global interactions with Sri Lanka. And specifically what we're going to focus on today is the SKAL Asia Congress that's happening in Colombo right now, that has just begun just a day ago, and we're seeing a lot of developments in this area. And to speak about this, we have the very people that organized it themselves. Please welcome to this discussion Ms. Denise Crafton, the World President of SKAL. Pleasure to have you here, ma'am. And of course, we have with us the President of SKAL Sri Lanka, who is Mr. Ahintha Amarasinghe. Thank you once again for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
And as well, the working minds behind it, the Congress Director of SKAL, specifically for the Asia Congress, that is Ms. Shamali Was. Thank you very much for coming on to the show, ma'am. So without any further ado, I have a lot of insight to get from all of you. But before we get to the specifics, just an introduction. SKAL has to be one of the world's largest tourism professional network. Specifically, it has been in force for about 92 years, and in Sri Lanka, it's been around for about 72 years. So it's definitely no joke when it comes to the force that it has in bringing the developments to the tourism field in Sri Lanka. So, Mr. Ahintha, I'd like to start with you, specifically because of the focus we're having today, which is the Asia Congress that's being held in Sri Lanka. Can you please, now this is the 54th Asia Congress. Mr. Ahintha, can you walk us through the road to the Asia Congress this year? Can you tell us about the preparations? I understand that there's about 200 delegates, over 200 delegates that are going to be checking in to the Taj Samudra and have already actually arrived, and they're going through the Congress. Can you tell us about the preparations it took to get here and the significance of having this Congress?
Okay, the SKAL Asia Congress is held every year. About 2 years ago it was in Bali, last year in Bahrain, this year in Sri Lanka, next year in Macau. When we went to Bali, I bid to host the Congress this year, and we won it. And it's a long 2 years that we have been doing a lot of work over the past 2 years. And initially, when we decided or discussed about this event, we were expecting 50 to 70 people to come to attend this Congress, but we ended up with 200 plus. And that's probably the highest number of foreign delegates attending a Asia Congress ever. So we are very proud of it, and I'm sure Sri Lanka will benefit a lot out of this Congress.
And it's no easy feat, considering usually we struggle with the 50 to 70, and now there's a whole 200 of professionals from around the world that are coming in just for the specific Asia Congress of SKAL, and the implications of that, the impacts that it's going to have, it's going to trickle into our tourism industry, and it's probably going to have a very lasting impact. So I really want to get this insight from the source itself. Ms. Denise, can you please, as World President of SKAL, can you tell us about the strategic importance that the Asia Congress has when it comes to the entire organization?
Absolutely. SKAL International Asia is a very integral part of the organization. It's collectively probably the second largest region in the world, which is a huge area. From the trickle-down perspective, whilst we're having the Congress here and we're showcasing Sri Lanka, this gorgeous country, we also are looking at the entire world and showcasing the entire world. Whether our delegates are here or not, they are connected to us online, they see all the publications. And I think an interesting thing is that our membership is about 50% tour operators, travel agents and hotels. So you can see how many people are going to be able to on-sell this beautiful country around the world.
Exactly. It's the fact that you mentioned the type of demographic that's visiting this country are people that are directly in the process of promoting tourism and actually bringing tourism into the country. So of course, even if it's one delegate that we've impacted, that could be 20 other people, and it could really have a really important trickle-down effect for our country specifically and the Asian region as a whole. Ms. Shamali, I've wanted to ask this question, the practicality aspects. Being the Congress director, of course, you would have had to burden, shoulder the burden of having it to practically take off the ground after winning the bid. Can you tell us the practical aspects of actually hosting the Asia Congress this time around? I want to put some focus on the very innovative idea that you guys have had this time, which is the website, which I believe played a key role when it comes to bringing in more delegates. Can you explain to us?
Yes, yes, we have been working for the last 1 year, I should say, since the Bahrain Congress. So for 12 months we have put a lot of hard work into it, and yes, we developed the website where all the delegates could register online and instantly get confirmation on the hotels and the Congress package. We also had 2 packages actually, if anyone wants to just buy the package and stay elsewhere. But we are very happy that I think 100% has bought the full package with the hotels, transport, tours and everything. It was a lot of work, mainly to get the delegates, I think, to register from all over the Asian region, and also to select the Congress hotel was also not very easy, because we had to check the rates of the rooms and the facilities, everything. So a lot of work went into it, a lot of planning. I had a very good committee working with me. Yes, still working. Yeah.
Currently still.
So currently, yes. Yes, so together all of us have come to this, and yes, the Congress is on now. And I think we have done quite a lot of work. Well, saying that, even today, tomorrow, until it's over, till the 28th, we have a lot to concentrate and then to follow up. Yes.
It's the fact that all of that hard work is finally paid off, and it's a smooth transition.
Exactly.
With no bumps in the road as well.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, the initial registration process is of course vital.
Yes.
When it comes to understanding if it's feasible for certain individuals to even visit the country for this Congress. So
That's
that
right.
kind of logistical issue always poses some sort of threat, specifically when it comes to tourism, because
Yes.
of course it's almost all logistics. So I want to ask you, Mr. Hintha, when it comes to the sheer number of delegates that have come down to Sri Lanka to visit, what kind of strategic advantage can we expect to see when it comes to this kind of Congress?
Yeah, so out of the 200 plus foreign delegates that's there, majority are from India, and that's Sri Lanka tourism's key market, very key market, and that's the highest number of tourists come from Sri Lanka. So how we managed it is, at the time that we won the bid to host the Congress, we got in touch with our national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines, and because they have more than 100 flights per week to various cities in India, and they came on board as our partner, and they gave special offers to all the people who are registering from to attend this call, and that's one of the reasons why the numbers are so big. And most of them, we have been myself and Shamali, we have been talking to the delegates since yesterday. All of them want to come back, not alone, but bring tours to Sri Lanka. So our objective is that, and end of the day, if each person who has come brings say 50 people for a year, you are looking at a huge growth. And India is so close by to Sri Lanka, and they are our main partner. And I'm sure this Congress will bring a lot of tourists and good results to our country.
We can expect to see a lot of development on that front, and this Congress, as you mentioned, is a strategic move in order to ensure an increase of an inflow of tourism into the country. Denise, I want to ask you specifically, there's this motto that SKAL follows, which is doing business among friends. Mm-hmm. I want to get your insight on this. How exactly, in an instance like this, with this kind of Congress happening, you actually made the time as world president to come down to the country to oversee and to check on the actual Congress in itself. So can you tell us how exactly Sri Lanka's SKAL network and the global SKAL network, SKAL International, is actually building deep connections?
SKAL was formed based on friendship. That's the very first, as you said, 90 years ago. And today, it's doing business with friends. And there is nothing surer than if you meet somebody and have a close connection with them, and then you go back to do business with them, that you will probably secure that piece of business. And that's how SKAL has been founded, and it's grown through the ages. I think what you need to really look at here is the friendships in this part of the world, and I'll take Australia into that, New Zealand into that, and all of Asia. This is Australia's playground. This is where we holiday, and this is where we have a lot of good friends. I have never been to Sri Lanka before. I know that most of the Australians that are attending this Congress have never been to Sri Lanka before, but they're going to leave with an amazing impression. And I think that it's going to be amazing what we come away with. And we talk about different regions. At the moment, we go to Bali, but if Australians haven't been to Sri Lanka, then all of a sudden Sri Lanka's going to open up for us. And that is doing business with friends, and we've got a lot of friends here in Sri Lanka.
Exactly. The fact that a key market such as Australia can be opened up from a Congress such as this is a very big deal. And it's also the fact that doing business with friends, basically forming close connections and ensuring that those deep bonds are what carries the business forward is, of course, SKAL's, I believe, motto when it comes to, that's why it stood for over 90 years, and in Sri Lanka for over 70 years. So before we go into a break, I want to ask you this question specifically. What do you see moving forward for the next few days of the Congress as well? Can you walk us through a bit of the itinerary to see what's exactly in store?
So we have added some lovely program. Shamali was in charge of doing it, and in addition, tomorrow morning or after the meeting, we are going to take them to Nelum Kuluna. We want to show Sri Lanka from the sky. The next day, we are taking them to Nugagama. We are going to have a Sri Lankan night with everyone wearing sarongs, and only Sri Lankan liquors will be served. And after that, there are so many tours that people are going on. And of course, during those times, we are going to have some successful business meetings as well. And again, Shamali has arranged for 30 people, tour operators, to come and have B2B sessions, which is going to be a huge success because all the people all the delegates are in the tourism industry, it will be an ideal opportunity for them to meet the tour operators one-to-one. So that will be also a key segment of our Congress.
Exactly. It's the sheer amount of potential that this kind of Congress can have for a country like Sri Lanka, with so much untapped resources and untapped opportunity for growth, especially in the tourism industry, despite it being our largest sector. I want to get into the instances of growth and development when it comes to tourism in Sri Lanka as well, what we can see moving forward in the future, the upgrade of what kind of tourism we see in the country. Before we get into any such specifics, let's take a short commercial break. We're going to be right back with the second segment on this special presentation relating to SKAL Asia Congress in Sri Lanka. We'll be right back. Presentation, we're in conversation relating to the 54th Asia Congress of SKAL, which is held here in Sri Lanka, which is a very big deal for the country in itself and also the future of tourism in the island. Now, we just got done talking about the basics of what this SKAL Congress actually entails and what exactly is offered to the delegates that are visiting the country and what we can expect out of it. I want to ask you, Shamali, relating to the support that we have had along the way when it comes to, of course, you said it's 12 whole months of hard work after the bidding process. Can you tell us what factors helped actually ease any bumps along the road when it comes to logistics and even just planning, and the fact that we're getting so many individuals from different nationalities into the country?
Yes, actually we have got support from many, but mainly from the Sri Lanka Promotions Bureau. They have come in as partners, and their support was very valuable. We also have got support from Sri Lanka Conventions Bureau, also has come in as partners. And also a few couple of private companies, and yes, of course, the hotels have come down on their rates and offered us a very good deal on the room rates. So we did get a lot of support. If not, it's not easy because we charged a very, what can I say, a minimal amount from the delegates. We could not put everything together and charge a very high amount because we wouldn't have got the numbers then. So it's just the accommodation and the breakfast I think we charged, and all the other expenses we had to get support from outside, which we have got, and we are very thankful to Sri Lanka Promotions Bureau, Conventions Bureau, and all our other partners.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the fact that it was, there was a lot of, helping when it comes to ensuring that the main goal, which is to get the delegates into the country and have them enjoy an actually good experience instead of, lackluster performances.
That's right, yes.
Because Sri Lanka, of course, when it comes to tourism, we're known to be, as thorough as possible. Our hospitality industry, the Sri Lankan in itself is a hospitable individual.
That's right, yes.
So it's very important that we've had such support. Ahintha, I want to direct this question to you specifically. Now, we see that there are delegates coming into the country. Actually, they have, and they're currently participating in the Congress. But we also have that issue of how exactly the support is dispersed among various areas and regions of the country. It's not just, Colombo and down south that we have, up north. We've got so much to show for the central regions, the coastlines, every single beach. So how exactly do we expect this Congress to help direct attention evenly, almost as evenly as possible, to the different areas and regions in the country?
Sri Lanka is really blessed. We have a beautiful country, and over the past so many years, only very specific places are being visited by the tourists. So what we have done is we are offering the delegates to go and, after the conference, post-conference and pre-conference, tours to go and see various places. So but due to the limited number of days, they won't have time to go and see all the places. But what we are going to do is our website will be on. We are going to continuously upgrade or put new places that the tourists can visit. Because I was talking to a gentleman from Korea in the morning today. He's a publisher of a tourist journal. And he told me that he wants to come back and do a 3-page article about Sri Lanka. And he's really fascinated about the country. And first time he has been here. So like that, so when people like that come, our members will take them and show, as you rightly said, places that is normally not visited. Sri Lanka, in the entire country, is beautiful. Not only the places that tourists go to, unfortunately, but the time factor is the problem this time. But through our website, as I said, we will keep on publishing about the new places, new destinations that our tourists can visit.
Exactly. And I'm sure as Sri Lankans ourselves, despite being in the country this entire time, we end up, discovering new areas almost daily. I of course tend to, when it comes to touring, you just happen to stumble upon gems. That's the kind of country Sri Lanka is. It's the almost an optimal climate for tourism as well. Speaking of which, Denise, I want to ask you, as an individual that actually just visited Sri Lanka for the first time, having just spent a few days in the country, can you tell us about your experience in Sri Lanka so far as the, not just as the world president of SKAL International, but as a person that's visiting this kind of island for the first time?
Well, I only just arrived yesterday. However, firstly, the people, the friendship, from the minute I stepped off the plane yesterday, the welcome has been amazing. Going into the Taj Hotel today, what a beautiful hotel, what beautiful service. And I think that I'm actually doing a post-safari tour. And
That's
so
great.
I will be going, seeing a little bit as much as I can. And I'll be coming back, I'm sure. But I think that the experience I'm looking forward to is just the beautiful agenda that's been put together for us. The beautiful places that we're going to be seeing, high tea, I believe. And, it's going to be amazing. And we've got about 20 Australians here. And that's amazing because we never used to visit the Asian Congress before. And this is a bit of a first. And many of them are agents, and many of them will do the repeat visitation. I love the country so far, and as I said, I've hardly seen any of it.
Exactly. That's really, reassuring to hear that even as someone from a touristic point of view as well, there is potential, and so far the experience has been good. That's what we all are aiming for, of course, as citizens of this country. Right. We need, our country to be recognized in the manner that it should be. And this Asia Congress is hopefully going to help elevate that. And when it comes to elevation specifically now, over the years, we have seen the demographic of tourism that has been inflowing into the country. Usually we see backpackers and, all sorts of individuals from all walks of life that want to just experience Sri Lanka. But there's also this unexplored avenue of, higher end luxury when it comes to Sri Lanka, because it's almost bare bones at the moment. We see some development, but it's a little bit slow when it comes to progress. How exactly, Ahinta, this question is directed to you, when it comes to the development or the evolution of tourism in Sri Lanka, when it comes to, different tax brackets, luxury markets, different individuals and net worths, how do you think Sri Lanka can approach breaching into such a market, because we haven't really successfully done it before?
So for any country's tourism to do well, you need to have a proper mix. Of course, the backpackers are very, very important.
Essential.
But yeah, then of course the high end will be very minimum in numbers, not only in Sri Lanka, all over the world. But I think gradually we are getting there, because we have luxury hotels. Some hotels we work with, they are selling at $1,000 a night, and so there are a lot of things have to get together to get more of the upmarket business, like the vehicles, the roads, the hotels, everything. But it's gradually we are going there, and I'm sure in the years to come the mix will be much better, because at the moment we get a mid-range. A lot of people actually the backpackers are minimum, I think, but the mid-range is very high. So, but as you rightly said, we need to target at the high end a little bit more.
Exactly. Hopefully we can see development in that sense as well. And as you mentioned, yes, proportionally, of course, when it comes to luxury tourism, it's always going to be, quality over quantity.
Oh, yeah.
And backpackers, that entire, the mid-range is essential for us. It's what's keeping us afloat when it comes to the tourism industry. Speaking of when it comes to, efforts to ensure the promotion or the further promotion of tourism through this Congress as well, Shamil, I want to ask you, when it comes to post-Congress work for the promotion of Sri Lanka tourism and the Asia Congress, as well as being a part of SKAL, what kind of initiatives do you think, what kind of tourism models do you think we'll see come forward? Are you in the works of implementing any different strategies? What's the follow-up looking like?
Well, through the association, maybe we will not go there to implement any strategies, but we need to get more members to join the club. So through the Congress, I believe we will have more numbers joining the SKAL Club, and more we have, the networking will be much more with the countries. We have 85 countries as members. It's a lot. So if Sri Lankan members can network with them, obviously we will develop friendship as well as bringing in business to Sri Lanka, not only the mid-range, even the high-end. Through that we will develop, I'm sure, I believe we can develop more people to come into Sri Lanka. And also the awareness. Through SKAL we make a lot of awareness about the country and our tourism in Sri Lanka. Like Ahinta said before, we need to concentrate on the infrastructure in Sri Lanka, actually, to get more high-end clients, the roads and more facilities when they travel to places of interest, sightseeing places like Sigiriya or the safaris. That we need to concentrate to develop the country and get in more tourists.
Exactly, that infrastructural development is essential. I believe you actually breached on a very important point that I wanted to direct to Denise earlier as well. When it comes to the room that we have for improvement specifically, the branding that Sri Lanka has at the moment, do you believe it could use some work? What do you think is one of the critical areas that we can see some sort of improvement or development or focus?
Well, I think Sri Lanka's branding is probably perfect for what they're looking to do. And just quickly to touch on the backpacker market.
Yes.
Do you know, the interesting thing with backpackers is that they turn into adults with families. and they look for a different experience. I did a lot of work with a company in the UK who specialised in students and backpacker markets, and today their major market is more luxury, because those students have all grown up and they still use the same travel agencies. And so it's an interesting thing that what you are actually doing is creating a group of people that will turn into your luxury travellers. As far as the branding goes, I think from probably an Indian perspective, they do a huge amount of luxury travel. And I think probably with the amount of Indians you've got here, the branding is probably hitting them, because they do book high-end here. And I think that's happening perfectly. But as I said, I would never underestimate those backpackers that are going to turn into adults with families and eventually into retirees with a lot of money.
Exactly. I actually wanted to touch on that now that you mention it. It's a lot of awareness on that perspective as well, because backpackers don't stay backpackers forever. We see an evolution, and as you mentioned, we could unintentionally be, developing our future luxury market. Denise, one more question before we move on to the next area that I want to focus on. Specifically when it comes to current actions that we can do now. You say that our branding is mostly on point, and it's we see high-end bookings and we see it trickling in. But critically, when it comes to infrastructure and all, in your experience, what have you seen with countries that have a similar situation to Sri Lanka? Have you seen success stories when it comes to, as a tourist destination? I'm sure we're no Bali, we're different, but maybe you have some insight to give us on how we can expect to see development in Sri Lanka.
Well, I can talk about Australia, obviously, because I've worked in the inbound market in Australia most of my working life. And to develop that inbound market to where it is today, we definitely, you are correct, had to look at the infrastructure. And the infrastructure had to be a really great development of 5-star in Sydney, Melbourne, all your major cities, and then also onto the coastal areas and the holiday areas and the islands. But you also need a really good range of 4.5, 3, and interesting accommodation, bed and breakfast. And that is the way that you will attract more people. From a SKAL point of view, it's up to us now to go out and really, really position Sri Lanka with the 86 countries that are part of SKAL. So we go back after this Congress and we tell everybody about it. And I think that is the way that we do it. But yeah, from an infrastructure, you have to make sure you've got the right range of accommodation, and also tourist attractions, which is very important, which, as I said, I'm about to see.
Exactly. I'm really hoping you have a really good trip in Sri Lanka.
Me too.
I'm sure it won't fail you. But what you mentioned was essential. It's the fact that infrastructure is a foundational part. And also there's over 12,000 individuals that are registered with SKAL International. So obviously, this kind of Congress, the Asia Congress in itself, after, we even just getting the 12,000 people knowledgeable about this Congress is going to bring in a lot of potential business for the country. When it comes to the future of tourism in Sri Lanka and future visions that we can see under SKAL and even Sri Lanka as a whole, and also collaborations, I really want to get into those specific aspects as well. But of course, time has run out in this segment, so we're going to go in for a short commercial break. You're watching Special Presentation. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Welcome back to Special Presentation. We are in our final segment. We were in discussion about the 54th Asia Congress of SKAL International and how it has been underway so far. And we spoke about, how exactly this Congress is going to be the gateway for Sri Lanka's tourism landscape to further develop. Unfortunately, we're in our final segment, even though we have a lot to talk about. But Ahintha, I want to ask you this specific question. When it comes to internal development in the country, what are congresses like these, hosting such a Congress, going to do for the collaborative aspect of this entire ordeal? The public-private partnerships, you mentioned, there was support that was happening, the bureaus that supported along with the private companies. What kind of workforce development can we see in the tourism industry through a Congress like this?
Yeah, okay, so one of the objectives of having this conference, and we want to give awareness about SKAL to the tourism industry in Sri Lanka. That means not only the travel agents, but anyone who is involved, even in slightly tourism related, they are most welcome to join SKAL, right? And that will open up a huge world for them, right? So there are, as we discussed, there are over 12,000 members globally, and anyone joining SKAL, joining Sri Lanka SKAL, the entire world is open to them, and that will give us a lot of opportunities for future business growth. Because especially, as I said, India has so many people coming into Sri Lanka, and I was really touched when I spoke to an agent in the morning, a tour operator in the morning, and he was saying that he couldn't believe that the roads are so clean, and that's Sri Lanka. You know, so he said, I don't want to mention the city that he came from. He said, ours is nothing like yours, and that's a big thing because Sri Lanka is a clean country, and that's how we want our country to be projected as well.
Sri Lanka has often had this image of, ruralism and just, underdevelopment in the world sphere. In the beginning, before our current tourism image actually popped up as, a paradise island, we've always struggled with the issue of, economic development. But despite all of that, we've always had individuals that are interested in discovering the wonders of Sri Lanka actually come to the country. And a congress like this is only serving to further the good image that we actually do have, but haven't seen, promoted well enough in the world stage. And SKAL, I believe through SKAL, we're going to see a lot more development on that end. I want to ask you, when it comes to, Shamali, this question is for you. I want to ask you, when it comes to outreach efforts of SKAL specifically, can you tell us about the scouting of now? You mentioned that anybody that's interested in the tourism industry can actually see a pathway of joining SKAL, and that will open up the rest of the world for them. Shamali, can you tell us, when it comes to the operational point of view, what can we expect when it comes to recruitment? What can we expect when it comes to opening up the doors for individuals that may not even understand what SKAL is, to actually bring them in and make them part of the organization?
Yes, we have to make more awareness, I think, in the country. To make awareness globally, we definitely need the support of the tourism authorities to make more awareness and develop the infrastructure. Like Ainta had already, I think, answered your question halfway. But yes, so we need to get more people to join SKAL, and through them, because it's doing business among friends. So we develop friendships actually first. More before doing business, we become friends and then family, and that helps us to develop our business and to bring in tourism. So through SKAL, we used to have weekend overseas travel. We traveled to India a few times for their national congresses, and then we meet. So not only the Asia Congress, we also have small other meetings in different countries, their national congress in local levels, where we could participate and then meet the agents, the DMCs, the travel agents and all that. So through SKAL, becoming a member in SKAL, it opens many doors for all of them globally and to develop business. At the same time, we have to make awareness about Sri Lanka, which is not being done as we want it to be. So we also hope we will get the support of the tourism authorities as well, because we also do not only SKAL, different travel trade fairs we visit. So through that also, we always have a SKAL stand also in most of the travel, like in London we have WTM and ITB in Germany. There's always a SKAL booth there. And through that also we meet in the booths. And develop contacts and networking opportunities are there. So yes, so I think the main thing is to join SKAL. Yes, that's the most important thing. The ones who are not yet members, we invite all of them to join the club. Yes.
Exactly. Strategically speaking, SKAL is in a very good position in order to, consolidate and launch Sri Lanka's tourism to a higher level, which includes the internal development of individuals that are functioning in the country as well, right. Be it, a tourism tour operator, or even just anyone in the tourism industry that's interested in furthering their prospects. When it comes to the outreach aspects as well, I want to get to the global issues when it comes to tourism in itself. Of course, course, we've had this conversation come up multiple times over the past few years, considering the increase of global travel actually coming to normal levels post-pandemic and then exceeding such levels, the impact of over-tourism and sustainability issues. Denise, as World President of SKAL International, can you tell us what your point of view is when it comes to the issue of over-tourism? Is it a dire need for us to actually curb and regulate, or sustainability efforts? What are we seeing on that front right now?
Well, I think it depends on what location you're talking about. If you're talking about the Australia, New Zealand and those areas, bring on the tourists. We want more and more, and I'm sure you're likewise here. And a lot of Asia is as well. However, our headquarters is in Spain, in Torremolinos. And I can tell you now that there's areas in Spain that are crying out that they don't want any more tourists. And so that is a big issue. I think at the end of the day, every country, and there isn't really just one model for this, every country will handle it how they're going to handle it. But from most of the countries that I've seen, they want more tourists. They want them, they need them, it's part of their economy, it's our biggest export in many countries, and we really need that to work for us. Our headquarters, as I said, is in Spain, and we will push and push and push to get more tourism around the world, and for places like Sri Lanka, and make sure that we do promote it. But it is an issue for some countries. I'm not undermining that at all, but I think everyone of those countries needs to somehow work it out themselves. And I know Barcelona, for instance, is one area that is crying out too many tourists.
Exactly. We've had conversations come up, constantly. Even, areas like Hawaii and Spain, we see that conversation. But specifically for the Sri Lankan context, I don't believe over-tourism is an issue.
Just to add to what she said, Sri Lanka at the moment, we are targeting at 2 million, 2.2 million tourists per year. The key to develop Sri Lanka and to forget about all our economic problems, tourism is the only and the one and only industry, because the government's investment is virtually zero. All the hotels are owned by us, the marketing is done by us, everything is done by us. And if we can bring the 2 million to 4 million, Sri Lanka will not have an economic problem, that's for sure. So that 4 million could be budget, mix, high-end, whatever. We only want the numbers, because the numbers will bring Sri Lanka out of and be one of the most successful countries in the world.
In fact, it'll open up an amazing opportunity for you. An amazing one.
It's the fact that tourism is already one of our biggest exports, and it holds the key for us, to see economic development. And it's not just for temporary gain; it will be, an ongoing thing. It feeds itself essentially, because once there's a successful visit to the country and you experience of the country is you keep coming back or you keep recommending. That's how tourism works, of course.
Sri Lanka is blessed. Our people by nature are very friendly. As Denise said, from the time she landed in Sri Lanka yesterday up to now, she only has pleasant memories of the people. And that is the core thing that Sri Lanka should develop in the tourism industry. That will be the future.
Exactly. The future, because it's already ingrained in our people to be hospitable. So it's only right that we play into our strengths and actually, optimize it to a level where we can rely on that hospitality and on that, the beauty of Sri Lanka in order to feed itself. So unfortunately, we're running out of time, even though we've struck a good rhythm. Shamali, this question is for you specifically, looking for the future. What do you think will be the key takeaways of the Asia Congress that's being held right now, and what do you think we'll expect to see, not just under SKAL International or SKAL Sri Lanka, what can we see as developments in Sri Lanka's tourism industry? What do you hope to see?
Yeah, I think these 200 plus people will take wonderful memories back them. And more than that, like Ahinta mentioned, we have organized B2B meetings tomorrow with our DMCs as well as travel agents. So we have about 40 registered as of now. So the delegates who are here will have the opportunity to meet them and exchange their views opinions, business, and basically network with them. So that alone we will improve a lot, I believe. That alone will have a lot of tourists coming in. So 40 is a lot of DMCs, and if they can develop some kind of business, 40, at least they start bringing 40, 50 people in. That's a start, I think. So more members we have, and we travel out to travel fair, not only the travel fair, the congresses and also the national congresses. We meet most colleagues, SKAL members. We will develop through that. We will develop definitely, yes, through networking and our friendship.
Exactly, through friendship, of
through
course.
Friendship, yes, that's the motto. Yes,
that's the whole motto.
Yes. Our committee and our SKAL currently, this is only the first step. We have a long future, and we are hoping to bid for the World Congress. And World Congress means you're bringing down nearly 1,000 people. And maybe in a year or two, I'm sure Denise will go and talk so much about Sri Lanka. And we really want to, because we want SKAL to help Sri Lanka, because we really need the help of SKAL. And hopefully in a few years' time, we'll bring the World Congress to Sri Lanka. And that will open doors in 12,000 people's mind.
Exactly. So this is just one small step, the first step that we have taken, and hopefully we can see it develop and foster, you know, through this good bond that we have and through this friendship that we have built and this foundation specifically when it comes to the future of tourism in Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, I've had to put a stop to this discussion even though we've been having such a good conversation. Thank you very much once again for taking the time to come to the studio here today and to actually, you know, enlighten our viewers and our audience relating to what kind of progress is being done on the tourism front specifically for Sri Lanka. Ms. Denise Crafton, World President of SKAL, thank you very much for coming down to the studio. Really appreciate it. And of course, Mr. Ahinda Amarasinghe, the President of SKAL Sri Lanka, really appreciate your takes. And of course, Congress Director for SKAL Asia, which is Ms. Shamali Was. Once again, thank you so very much.
And on behalf of SKAL, I want to say a huge thank you to Derana and to you for giving us this opportunity to showcase what SKAL is to Sri Lanka.
Thank you so very much once again.
Thank you.
So unfortunately we've had to put a close to this discussion, but who knows, maybe we'll have them back around for the next Congress. We can never tell. So if you want to catch this program, you can always catch us on the YouTube page, youtube.com/otherthan English. Thank you very much for tuning in and for watching this discussion, and have a pleasant night.